On July 27, exactly 15 days ago, a magnitude 7 earthquake hit the northern Luzon. Abra was at the epicenter and has experienced a lot of damages of houses and infrastructures. Today, we are here at Lagangilang Abra to distribute relief food bags to help 600 families whose homes have been damaged by the earthquake. The land may have been shaken, but we pray for unshakable faith for the people of Abra that God will greatly supply of whatever they need to start rebuilding their lives. Partner with us and be part of our growing NL community as we become community ready to respond, reach out, and rebuild lives.
Hi, everybody. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mental Health Matters. So, hi, our MHM family. Once again, it's a Thursday night, and just as I always say, this is your Thursday night habit. Thank you for joining us. I am excited for tonight because I believe that with the episode that we'll be doing, again, no, there's gonna be things that we'll be learning, new things, and that shall bring enlightenment and that shall also help us with wherever we are at, no, specifically, even specifically with the topics that the topic that we have for this evening. All right, so for those of you who do not know me, if in case you're new here, my name is Pastor Heidi Giague, and I'm just so blessed to host our MHM program, which runs every Thursday. And so, hello, our New Life family. Hello, our NLCOM family. And of course, our MHM team, di ba? Okay, so good evening sa inyong lahat. All right, so let me just greet those who have tuned in early. Okay, kanina pa lang, I saw Tita Lolita, hi Chari, I saw your greetings and it's like, wow, okay, hi po sa inyong lahat. Also to our engagers, both in FB and YouTube. Maraming salamat for always joining us every Thursday. Okay. So please, why don't you go ahead and share the stream, share to your friends, to your family members, o diba, to your neighbors. Okay, madaming mga friends dyan, mga FB friends ninyo. Yung mga napakadami yung GC, right? You go ahead and share to your, with your GCs because I really believe that, whatever it is that you'll be discussing tonight, somebody's gonna be blessed. And so who knows, that person that you'll be sharing it with, kailangan talaga niya. Especially sa mga parents out there. Why? Because for tonight, we will be talking about part 2, no, of the topic we discussed last time, which is the face-to-face challenge. And it's gonna be very interesting. Last week, we had Miss Arlene join us from Build Up. And for tonight naman, we have our resident psychologist. Of course, he's no longer a guest of MHM, but practically very much part of it, Miss Fab Calipara. No, she will be talking about part 2 of the face-to-face challenge. And, aside from the specifically, about how parents and kids, how we can help them deal with anxieties of going back face to face. What's interesting, and which I want you to hear this out, what's also interesting is that Miss Fab will be talking about, change in general. Because whether we like it or not, no, in this world, in life, a lot of things are not constant. And so things change, seasons change, and we cannot help but we have to go with the change. All right, we cannot hold on to the season that we are in. We couldn't hold on. Now I'm just looking at my kids. Like the other day, I was like, oh my, wow. Okay, Zoe is now 18 and TJ is 15. And I remember the first time like we brought Zoe to nursery and she was so cute. Now of course I cannot say that she's cute, no, but nonetheless, I remember those times when they were very little and the first time that I brought them to school and all, but now, they're like, of course they're taller than me and all that. And so things change and they grow up. Kids grow up so quickly. We go through different seasons in life and we need each other when it comes to facing all these changes as well. So yeah, things will be discussed later on how to deal with change and all that. So I'm excited. So please go ahead and share the stream to your friends, to your family members, because I really believe it's going to be an interesting time this evening. Okay, now let's proceed to our gratitude check first before we bring in Miss Fab. So gratitude check here in MHM. And what's beautiful is that we talk, look, guys, you were the first one who heard the message in the Mental Health Matters. And I was given the opportunity to share this last Sunday, right, in church as well. So yeah, di ba? So what do we do in gratitude check? Of course, we come up, we think of, when I say we come up, we don't just invent it, but really we think of three things, at least three things that we are grateful to God for. And it's okay to be very specific about, about certain things that He has done probably today, especially that it's towards the end of the day already. Write it down, share it, so we can actually, read it and bless others as well, di ba? So sige, while you are writing it down, while you are typing it on the comment section, why don't I read to you Philippians 4, 6 to 7? Again, I read this last week, and this is part of our gratitude check. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Okay, then what's going to be the result? You will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. So here in Gratitude Check, we remind ourselves that there's always something that we can thank God for, right? So instead of worrying, instead of being anxious, probably one of the things that causes us to be anxious is ito nga, the new season, school setup and all that. But instead of us being so focused on the negative things, it says here, let's tell God, let's express these things to God and thank Him for everything that He has done. So that's part of gratitude check. So come on, let me just read if you were able to list down things. Ayan, si Marielle said, okay, for this year, gift of family, gift of friendship, financial breakthroughs. That is so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your gratitude check. And I like that. That's wonderful. Okay. Oh, Aya says, thankful to God for powerful message. Ay, salamat po. Okay. All right. Every night during our devotion, we say three things that we are thankful for the day. That's, you know what? That's so true. You get to involve your kids as well, right? And it's very easy. Gratitude check is very easy because even the little ones can actually be part of that. They can actually say things as well that they are grateful to God for. Ayan. Okay. Anyone else who's gonna make habol? Just so go ahead and write it down so we can read it, we can bless others. But more than what you also state here, making it really as a part of your day-to-day thing, your day-to-day devotions, just a reminder, or maybe even during dinner time, while you're eating, you can ask your kids, oh sige kids, okay, let's do some gratitude check. What are you grateful to God for? O, anong nangyari sa school? Meron bang magandang pangyayari? O, di ba? So we can actually ask our kids that, and you will be surprised as they're gonna share the good things. I'm sure there will always be something. Kahit na start kayo ng with one, if they cannot like identify three, you can start with one. O, Tita Lolita, thank God for Gardo and okay, Gardo and Henry. Thanks for the Family Summit Friday. Thanks for Morning Divo and MHM. Grabe talaga, Tita Lolit. That's so wonderful. Okay, all right. So Joanne says, gift of endurance to always be the champion at the end of a day's challenges. Wow. It's true. Endurance is a gift, guys. When we go through a challenging day, there are times when we just have to like parang, sige, kaya mo yan. Kaya mo yan, Heidi. Kaya mo yan, Joanne. Hanggang tapusin mo lang tong araw na ito. Lilipas din ito. And so, there's a tendency that you endure, just endure up to the end. But guess what? Even as you went through this day with all those challenges, you can actually breathe in and say, God, thank you. This day is over. Tomorrow is a new day, even if there's going to be a new challenge. But you know what? There is a renewed strength as well. So I speak that over you. Amen. Okay. Uy, Miss Tessa Joy. Tessa Joy is saying, I'm grateful that we are celebrating our anniversaries today with Enelcom Pastor. Tama po. Okay, greet us. Happy anniversary. It's actually my first year as part of the staff of NLCom, okay? Kumbaga formally. And for Paul, September 1 naman, it's his second year. And for Tessa, fourth year as the staff of NLCom. So, hindi po yan it's not a coincidence na kami palang tatlo, September 1, iba-ibang year nga lang. So, yeah. So, we thank God for that. And of course, as you already know, mental health matters is something that we're doing as part of our program as well with NLCom and of course with New Life. I guess that's it. So yeah, thank God for that. Thank God for what He's doing in us and through us. God is good. Always remember that in the midst of a a bad challenge. The world is bad, but God is always good. All right. And so we always have something to be grateful to God for. We remind ourselves that. And I pray even in your most challenging time, even in the deepest of the valleys, there's always this glimpse of hope, a glimpse of something good that God has done for you. Just the fact that you are there, just the fact that you're holding on and you're enduring, that is something to be grateful to God for. Okay. All right. So I'm going to call in our speaker for this evening. I'm just so excited to hear from her. So let's all welcome Miss Fab Calipara of Fully Psych.
Hi, Pastora, Heidi, and everyone who's watching MHM tonight.
I am grateful for you, Fab, for always being available.
It's my pleasure, Pastora. I'm also learning a lot.
Yeah, that's so good. So yeah, thank you for joining us once again and with our topic for this evening. I'm so glad no that as you're gonna talk about more on the part where we can help parents, with anxieties or even kids themselves as they're back to face. That you're gonna talk also about change, right? Dealing with change. And so
Right.
I think that's really a good thing. But let me ask you, I think your panganay, no, already also went face to face. How was that? Can you give us like how was the experience for you and for your son?
We've been waiting for that for 2 years, actually, Pastora. And, it's just like hard to see my kids being cooped in the house for how many months and years. And now finally, it's very fun and exciting for us na he's starting this face to face mode of learning. He's so excited. And then
Wow.
you could see from his eyes talaga na, and he can't contain the happiness when he would always go to class. He would say, Mama, am I, kasi he's blended learning right now. But every time it's face to face, he's so excited. He wakes up
Mm-hmm.
early and he's the one wearing his uniform. So it's really nice.
Wow, that's good to hear. That's good to hear that, they're motivated. Your son is motivated and yeah, blended pa lang, no? Like I think 2 to 3 times a week I heard. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
wonderful. I pray na that they carry that through. I was actually before we tuned in and we're here, we're doing this live. I was actually checking, just googling lang, how are kids and parents responding? Kasi syempre from last week, others just started just this week. And so yeah, I also saw there wait, the same 7-year old, yung anak niya 7-year old, and then sabi nitong dalawang parents na my kid is actually excited, yun nga kasi na bored din daw pala sa na screen lang yun. So I said,
Right,
oh,
right.
okay, this is really good. Okay, so I'm sure there will be something more that you will share in that in that light. So I'm gonna give you time and I'll see you. So everybody, let's just tune in, listen to Miss Fab, and at the end, no, I'm gonna come back again and we can have some Q&A. And so if you'll have questions later, do not hesitate to ask those questions. So go ahead, Fab. I'll see you in a while.
All right, Pastora Heidi, thank you so much. And once again, good evening to all our viewers of Mental Health Matters tonight. And so I'm going to be doing the part two of the face to face challenge. So we know that it's back to school time, right? Many school coming from both the private and the public sector started classes in August already. And nakita natin na talagang, a lot of families are excited and some were apprehensive and worried. But then we also saw many families actually who prepared for the opening of classes, returning to classes. So malls were opened, right? It's flooded with parents and students and their kids buying their school supplies. So haba ng pila sa National Bookstore, isa na ako doon, no? Sa mga pila to buy the school supplies of my kids. Even the department stores were teeming with parents, right, and kids buying their shoes, their school uniform, what else? School bags and whatnot. So it's just we could see that August really was the start of back to school, and we know that many are so like excited really to go back to school because we know pandemic has been uh, really created a lot of changes even in the mode of learning, right? We had to do it in an online setting, but now things are returning back to normal. So it's really nice to know that everything is starting to slowly uh, going back the way it used to be, like for instance this face-to-face classes. But then on the other side of the coin, we know that there are also families who's kind of like apprehensive, and it makes sense, right? Why they're kind of like worried about the new setup, right? Because there are still some concerns that we have to be mindful of, because COVID is still there, right? It's still here, and it's something that it still poses some risks on many aspects and challenges as well, not just for parents, for learners, but also for our teachers and educators. So let's just try to see what are the common challenges of the transition or the face-to-face learning mode na in the new normal. So, unahin natin yung sa parents, no? So, syempre, unang-una dyan yung concerns sa safety and security ng ating mga anak, right? So, we're kind of like worried na, okay, their chances and their exposure to COVID is high, right? Because they have to go to school come November. I think DepEd has already mandated for, schools to have like a full Monday to Friday type of setup, right? So another concern that the parents have is the cost. Definitely. Kasi mas mahal yung face-to-face tuition fees compared to the online mode of learning. So we know that during the pandemic, there were a lot of families who experienced financial challenges. And so, isa ito sa mga common challenges, no, like the higher cost of tuition fees, not to mention the school supplies, the other things that they have to pay, the baon, the tuition, the ano pa ba, the materials, and so many things, no? And aside from the, if you can see in the screen, aside from the cost, expensive cost, andyan din yung anxiety, separation anxiety, right? So especially for parents who's it's the first time for their kids to go actually to school, right? Then they kind of find it hard at first. Well, this is commonly sa umpisa lang naman, but later on when they get the hang of it, this is something that they get over with. So that's usually for the parents. Now, what about the learners? What about the students? So, andyan yung adjustment issues, right? So, some students are not prepared physically to enter classes, right? So, nasanay na yung iba sa online learning na when they wake up, they would just have to hilamos, kain, maligo, tapos they would face in front of the computer. They don't actually have to commute or anything else. So, it has become really convenient. But then, kumbaga, there are kids na hirap or it takes a while for them to adjust in the physical setup of learning again, right? So what else aside from that? We have the separation anxiety, which is common among preschool students or preschool kids, or even elementary, probably grade 1 to 3. No, some kids they experience separation anxiety, especially with their parents. Ito yung common, no, lalo na kapag first week of school or first day of school, and their parents have to leave them in school, diba? And so kind of like it's a challenge as well for these young kids. And aside from separation anxiety, they also have apprehension about being exposed to COVID and other illnesses or diseases. So I have some clients na I'm seeing young kids, wherein their parents decided to have them counseled or undergo a few, probably 1 or 2 sessions, just to alleviate the concerns and the worries that they have, no, in returning to classes. And so most of their worries were actually paano po kung magka-COVID ako, paano po kung mahawaan yung family ko, paano yung kaklase ko kapag may sakit, those types of apprehensions. So that's actually one of the common concerns of learners as well. So aside from that, they also have commuting or transportation concerns, right? So just imagine they had to ride the bus or ride the jeepney, and so siksikan sa jeepney o kung hindi man mahahatid ng family sa school, right? So yung danger kumbaga of like, or the hassle, even the traffic, right? So tumataas na naman yung traffic natin now that everybody's outside and everybody's commuting. A lot of people go to work now, face-to-face na rin sila, plus our students. So, kumbaga bumibigat na rin yung traffic natin. And I have, like, also know some students na they're kind of like worried, especially they're based here in the South, like in Alabang area and in Las Piñas, and they have to like go to schools located in Metro Manila. Nagbago na rin yung ruta ng mga buses, right? Even I think hindi na allowed directly to go inside Metro Manila. They all have to go to PTEX if that's what if that's what I've heard, no? So parang bago na rin yung system. So they have to like ride multiple vehicles or mode of transportation before they can be able to arrive at school. So that's one of the concerns that most learners have, especially those in college and in high school or senior high level already. So what else? Another concern of the learners, aside from this, is of course the social related anxiety. So some students actually find it kind of like awkward to interact with their classmates face to face, because 2 years they've just sat in front of the computer. They see people virtually, so it's easy to interact, right? They could just chat probably over Messenger or Discord and things like that. It's easy for them. But when it comes to face na, medyo iba, right? Iba yung dynamics, and so some really find it hard to interact, and some get nervous, some get insecure in interacting with their fellow students or classmates. But I'm not saying everyone or every learner is experiencing this. There are just some students talaga who are prone to having social related anxiety. Okay? And so, aside from the social related anxiety, we also have the motivation concerns, right? So in the motivation concerns, there are students who are not that motivated to study yet. No, probably a lot of factors and mental health concerns na rin plays a factor as to why they're not that motivated to study, right? And apektado rin yung kanilang academic performance talaga because of, a lot of intrinsic, external factors, dealing with change or difficulty adapting to changes. All these things we can account for, no? And that can definitely affect their motivation level. So what else? So I think the other factors or common challenges of learners that we have now is their learning concerns. There are also learning concerns. I was reading, actually trying to do some research then, and based on the pilot testing of DepEd for the reopening of classes, isa ito sa lumabas, which is the difficulty or learning challenges, because right, teachers have to wear their face mask, and so sometimes the students find it hard to understand what the teachers are saying because of the muffled voice, or kapag mahina yung voice ng kanilang teacher or professor, they kind of like find it hard. Now, even the students themselves, they have to wear face mask, right? So how many hours a day on, let's say maybe 4 to 6 to 8 hours a day, just wearing the face mask. Of course, we need that, but then wearing it for a long, extended period of time, that can also cause some sense of like inconvenience and kumbaga parang like, you know, not that good feeling when you've been covered all throughout your face. So isa ito sa mga learning concerns. Plus, aside from this, yung mode of instruction is different compared to the learning setup and the face-to-face setup. So with the online learning, right, a lot students or actually the teachers utilize a lot of online platforms, no, na talagang students are engaged and they find it cool, kumbaga parang they're used to it already. But then back to the going back to the face-to-face learning, so it's the traditional way of delivery, or the mode of the instruction is back to the you know, like reading books and etc. Kumbaga parang mas nalimit na siya. Well, I guess that would depend on the teacher as well, the strategy of the teacher as well, right, in providing instructions and lessons to students. But ito commonly yung mga common challenges that learners face. So we discussed the for the parent side and the learner side. What about the educator side? So it was an eye opener when I was listening to Miss Eileen nung sa last MHM episode, that one of the challenges of the face to face learning is really that learning gap. There was a learning gap that happened, right? And so especially I could relate because for younger kids, those in the preschool, right, na parang like some kids, they are not yet able to read, to write well, or to even like hold properly the pencil. Their fine motor skills is not yet developed. Their socialization skills has not yet been developed, especially for the younger ones. No, this is very common. So makikita talaga natin na isa ito sa mga naging concern. And aside from that, we also have some uh, challenges of the teachers on how to ensure the safety and the health protocols to be rolled out properly for their students, right? There's also limited resources, and for some also they have kumbaga limited time rin also to prepare, right, and adapt with all of these changes. So ito yon na kumbaga mga, I think all of us know na in one way or another you're able to relate in one of the things that I've said. Probably you can type in the chat box if you're in Messenger, or if you're watching YouTube, what were your personal challenges, no, when you were preparing your kids to go back to school, or you know, or if you're an educator, what were your personal struggles and experiences when you were preparing for the face-to-face classes, or if you're a student, ano yung mga naging challenges mo, no, nung nagpa-prepare ka for the face-to-face classes. So now it's September 1, right? And I think school has started for 2 to 3 weeks already for some. And I guess some are already trying to adapt, and they're slowly now getting the hang of how it is like to be in a blended setup, or like to commute going to their school. So I think it's as they go and attend classes every day. So mas nasasanay at nasasanay na sila. And it's nice to know that there are a lot of mitigating solutions that our schools have actually prepared. No, I myself have witnessed it in the school that, for instances where I enrolled my kids, they put a lot of strategies to really help the students, kumbaga, adapt, no? And hindi rin mabigla sa bagong setup ulit. So some of these mitigating solutions that were done on the side of the schools, no, were like have holding orientations, parenting orientations, no. So they were discussing to parents what are their new protocols when it comes to face-to-face learning. So that helped in curbing their anxiety, the parents' anxiety, No, so maganda rin that they have adapted the rotation classes, they have the shifting of schedules, and they made sure that there's a limited number of students per class, right? And they've really discussed the the rules when it comes to safety, and such as like wearing face mask all the time. Kung kailangan magdala ng extra face mask ang mga anak, pwedeng maglagay alcohol parate. There's dapat social distancing when they eat during recess time. Sharing of baon is not allowed. So discussion of these things have actually helped the parents and the students as well to ensure their safety then. No? So aside from this, what else? There were some schools who did some transition period before the start of their classes, which I find really nice and very considerate to students, because instead of going to class right away and start discussing the what's supposed to be discussed in per subject, they kumbaga dedicated like a week, of just allowing the kids to transition slowly and find their routine, introducing their classmates, making socialization time, and just really getting to know their students muna, and being familiarized with all the schools and the rules that the schools are implementing. So that's very, very nice. No? So these are the solutions that were done, and I think that because of these things, on top of teachers now being more considerate and they're mindful regarding the mental health of students. This is something that I really salute all teachers out there and all our educators, because they're more, now mindful when it comes to the mental health aspect of their students. Some schools are really talaga, they strategize in providing webinars, even like their guidance counseling of a department is very much active. And so if they see and spot students na medyo hirap, right, they really kumbaga reach out to that student, and they make ways on how to help that student to cope with these changes, or if whatever concerns that the student has. So these things are very, very nice, and I salute again all the teachers out there. So yun yung mga solutions natin, no? And now, as parents naman, if you are a parent and like me, and I know that you can relate with what I'm about to say, that we want, of course, as parents, to do our best, right? To continue supporting the learning of our children. We know that education is so much important, and so we really do our best to help them in that aspect, at the same time to readjust. And there are really strategies that we can help prepare our kids, and I'm sure that preparation is key talaga, right, in any transition, in any change. So as you can see here in the slides, we know that we can help our kids to prepare holistically, right? So by holistically, we know that we are made of spirit, soul, and body. And so we could also support our children in these three aspects. So how can we, support our kids, let's say physically, right? So in the physical aspect, just by orienting our kids on how they can, keep themselves safe, preparing nutritious meal for them, making sure that ensuring that they get enough proper sleep, right? That's very much helpful. Also, creating routines. These are simple, practical tips that we can do in preparing our children physically, making sure that they are fit as well, so that even if they go out every day, okay sila, right? They're safe, and their immune system, kumbaga, is up and working properly. So now, what about in terms of the soul, or when the mental and the emotional health aspect? So marami rin tayong mga ways on how we can support our kids to help them, in readjusting into the face-to-face transition. And unang-una dyan, syempre, is yung acknowledging what they feel. So let's take time to talk to our kids and like really ask them how they feel about going back to classes. And if they see and tell us that they're kind of anxious, they're apprehensive, they're afraid, then we can, comfort them and acknowledge it. Let's not invalidate it. But then let's also like help them on how to overcome those feelings, right? So we can also tell them to, adopt that solution focused strategy of like, okay, if you are feeling this way, if these are your concerns going back to school, then ano kaya sa tingin mo yung posibleng mga solusyon sa mga iniisip mong mga concerns that you have, right? So let's try to teach them to embrace change because we know change is really inevitable. It's something that we cannot stop. So as parents, we have to teach our kids on how or what is the right perspective that they can do in order to adapt to the change that they are experiencing, right? Because we know that the face-to-face learning is one change that they're experiencing now, but then there will be many changes that they will be experiencing as they grow up or in the later parts of their lives. So as early as now, we have to tell them, we have to guide them on how they can successfully and effectively deal with change. No? So another is we need to instill that kumbaga assurance as well to our kids, right? And let's encourage them to socialize again. So if we see that our kids are kind of, kumbaga parang aloof already, they are withdrawn, they don't want to talk to other kids, let's slowly just motivate them to start socializing with other kids. No? So because these things are very, social skills is very, kumbaga, important, right? And it's something that they really need to do. And so we can the more that they practice their social skills, the higher their confidence and comfort in interacting as well would become, right? So for preschoolers and grade schoolers, it's let's try to motivate them from moving away from too much screen time, right? Such as like playing Minecraft or Roblox, or sa mga teens naman, uso na ngayon yung mga Genshin Impact, etc. Mga ganito, right? So sometimes parang babad na sila doon sa mga online types of computer games or video games. But let's try to slowly, really encourage them to be away from their phones and have that real life interaction with other people and, uh, mode of socialization. Okay? So yun yung pwede natin na ma-encourage sila. Now, spiritually speaking, of course, yan, that is also one area that we can help our kids. So if they have worries or if they have difficulty adjusting, to changes, then we can tell them the power of prayer, tell them the importance of trusting God, right, in the challenges that they're going through. So if we also exude these things to them, if we are modeling these things to them, then it would also be something that the kids would likely do, right? If they see us that we're being prayerful and we're really depending on God and we are and trusting God, right? If they see that we're really actively having that personal relationship with Him in whatever circumstances that we have, then our kids will also, they get to see that as well, and they will be able to do that. So just to parang have like a personal account or anecdote to that one, when I made like a routine for my 4-year-old twins, and then dun sa routine, the first thing that I put was like waking up, okay, wake up, pray. So after waking up, they have to pray. And so we did it like the first, second, third day. Tapos nung sa fifth day, then and I told them, sabi ko, oh, let's go down na, let's try to eat breakfast. Let's eat breakfast already. And then Caleb one of the twins said, "Mama, we did not pray yet. We have to pray first before we eat breakfast." So talagang na-ingrained na yung routine sa mga sa kanila. If it's something that we, do at home and we make it a habit and we make it a routine, na kumbaga nasasanay din sila. And children thrive on routines. It's actually comforting for them. Right? Kasi there's a sense of anticipation, there's a sense of security in that aspect. Okay? So now, I don't know if I have much time yet, but I would also like Sana to discuss some few, some tips on how we can deal with change in general. Because again, as we said, maraming mga changes tayong nararanasan at isa na itong face-to-face transition, right? From online to face-to-face. But then, again, there are many other changes that we're going through. So here are just some few tips on how we can deal with change, right? Kasi it really takes a lot of analyzing at the same time. We need to be aware of how we're reacting to change, right? Because we're different people, we have different ways of reacting. But then when we closely examine how we are kumbaga parang reacting to change, and that would also give an insight on how we respond. Is it really right? Are we really um, adapting properly, or are there things that can help us change, right? In terms of how we face change, we know that it's occurring all the time, but then even if it's happening, it's occurring, we can change how we view and respond to it and how it changes us, right? And one of the ways of being able to do that is by changing our perspective and beliefs. Kapag nabago natin yung ating pananaw, ating viewpoints and beliefs, then we can change that fear into excitement, right? So if you see that there's excessive fear, then by a change of perspective, you can turn that fear into excitement, right? How? By anticipating something positive out of a challenging situation rather than fearing the worst. So if we tend to think of okay, what if this happens? What if that happens? What's the worst? What if it's always the worst case scenario? Why not shift into something like, okay, what would be the positive thing that would come out from this change? What would be a positive thing that would come out in this face-to-face transition, right? Or face-to-face classes, for instance. Now, you can also turn worry into wonder, right? So how can you change your worry into wonder? Okay, you can rephrase your concerns into another type of question. Okay, instead of saying, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. Why not say instead na I wonder, no? I wonder if I do this. I wonder if this would happen. I wonder if things would turn out to be better, right? So in that way, your worried is contained, right? When you shift into that wonder thinking. Now, you can change, no, your perspective in terms of expectation. Turn your expectation into anticipation. So try to look forward to a good outcome down the line. So it may be tangible or intangible, but focus or anticipate on the good outcome that may happen, in the change that you're going through. Okay. Another one, you can turn resistance into acceptance, right? I know that as much as possible, we try to resist change, right? We're so used to the things that we're used to. We like being in our comfort zone, right? But we should embrace and accept all the things, pleasant or unpleasant, welcome or unwelcome, things that we are experiencing, and we know that it will pass, right? Because what we resist persists. Diba? The more that we resist change, mas lalo siya talagang mag-persist, right? So another one is that we can do is that we can have that requirement into contentment. So learn to be content with whatever situation you are in and find things in it to be grateful for. Yep. And then another two, we can turn judgment into observation. So sanay tayo mag-judge, right? But let's try to observe events instead without judging them as good or bad. With our limited perspective and partial knowledge, our judgment will often be wrong, right? So instead of judging, let's just have that observation instead. And then another thing is that we can, change that reaction into response. Ang reaction natin, this is something that's instantaneous and instinctive. It's not always the best, right? So instead of reacting, why not respond? Right? It needs a little time. If in a crisis, for instance, we take a moment to stop. It's okay to take a pause and think, before we react. And so in that way, we can find ourselves more composed, and we can respond properly, right? So yun, respond is actually one of the tagline ni Analcom, right? Responding, of course, going out and helping, but then another way of responding is again to see what is deemed fit into your situation, right? So there, and when we are able to do this, we can turn the time of turmoil into a time of peace by applying some of the shifts in thinking and perspective discussed here, right? Peace of mind can be achieved even in the midst of a storm. What more when we combine spiritual principles, biblical principles, right, in the changes that we are going through? So the power of perspective, that's really, kumbaga, very, very important. When we have a sound perspective when it comes to change, right, and we combine that both in our spiritual and mental vibrancy with our insight, with the experience, then that helps us to adapt well and even thrive in spite of change, right? So there's also 9 key changes that I'd like to quickly just touch on and discuss. And so these 9 changes will help us deal with our changing reality as well. So unang-una dito is we change our decision to go alone, to do it alone, right? So when you're going through a difficult change, we often turn into a hermit, and we try to like retreat into our shell. But here we have to change our decision to go alone and to actually involve others, to go out and reach out for others' help, ask for counsel if you need, or talk to a friend or to a pastor, that life group leader, or to your spouse. Just try to involve someone with the change that you're going through, and they can help you in dealing with your change, right? Another, try to change your choice of emotions. We say that emotions are data points. Walang masama o magandang emotions. All of them are necessary, all of them are important, right? But then there are emotions that would, when we brood or we ruminate, for instance, sadness or guilt, right, or pity, when we tend to stay, when we simmer or we babad na babad tayo sa mga ganong emotions and we hold on to it, right, and we don't let go of it, we magnify those emotions, that can cause mental health concerns and emotional distress as well. So let's try to change our choice of emotions, acknowledge them, of course, right? Because that's very much important. And it can be, let's stick into the different emotions that would propel us into advancing forward, right? So another, change your choice of thoughts. Okay? So in here, we know that there are good thoughts, healthy thoughts and unhealthy thoughts that we have about change, right? So let's try to, kumbaga, select carefully what are the good thoughts that can help us deal with change. And if ever we find ourselves having thoughts that are unhealthy related to change, then let's try to discard it. Let's try to shift that instead into a healthier kind of thought, right? So evaluating our thoughts, evaluating our beliefs, our perspectives can also help us deal with change. Then also, another one is to change your choice of truths. Ano ba yung source ng truth mo? Is it the universal truth? Is it the truth that the people around you are saying? Is it the truth that the secular world is saying? Or is it the truth coming from God? So, ano yung choice mo kung saan mo pang hahawakan yung truth, no? On how you can adapt well to change. When we have faulty data, right, or faulty beliefs, that can lead to wrong conclusions, right? So when we have false thoughts, that can give us a lot of emotional anguish if we dwell on them, even though they are not the reality, right? So let's try to really think about, contemplate, and ask, okay, what are the truths that I'm holding on? Are they even helping me in the situation that I'm going through now? Okay, so that's very much helpful. So it's also important that we notice the moment. This is a tool also that can help us change our perspective in the things that we're going through. And by focusing on how and realizing that then and tomorrow are different, right? Our mind is taught to focus on the present moment, right, without adding to it. And this then becomes the apparent rather than the imagined truth, right? And in turn, this leads to a new emotion and experience based on observed reality kesa sa distorted type of reality, right? So another one is that let's try to change our idea about change itself. Ask yourself, what's my take on change? Do I avoid it at all cost? How do I react to change, right? What is my mindset about it, right? So have an honest confrontation about your beliefs about change, because that's important. Because change is not a disruption, but rather it's a flow of life, right? As we said, it's inevitable. It's life is full of movement, and movement is change. Without change, life would cease. We know that there's always change, right? Towards synergy or harmony, or into a positive or in a negative fold, or to an expression, to an expansion, all these things, it happens, right? And we experience it in our day-to-day life. So the question is, how or what would be a proper way or a proper or helpful mindset that can help us view change for the better, right? So also, with all these things, right, uh, when we closely examine it, then it really helps us to resist change, and we have a healthier perspective about it. Okay. Spiritually speaking naman, right, we know that uh, most of us hate change because it upends our comfort levels, it leaves us insecure and afraid, and it challenges our expectations, our routines, and our understandings of the world and how we live in it. But here's what doesn't change, right? Even though that change is inevitable, change is something that happens, right? God is constant. God is good. He constantly loves us. He constantly takes care of us. And even when we feel overwhelmed by all of life's changes, His love never changes, right? So, isn't it amazing? Isn't it nice to know that His love doesn't change? His love doesn't falter, right? So, if you're anxious about life changes, remember these 3 points. Number one, hindi nagbabago ang Diyos. God doesn't change, right? Malachi 3:6 said that I am the Lord and I do not change. That is why you descendants of Jacob are not already destroyed. Right? Hebrews 13:8 also says that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Right? So God doesn't change. And the second point that let's all always remember and not forget, God is with us, right? God is with us. Whatever we're going through, our highs and lows, our mids and in betweens, He's there and He's always with us. Deuteronomy 31:8 says that do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Isn't it wonderful that He will never abandon us? He's always there for us. And even Joshua 1:9 says, this is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Isn't that comforting? Isn't that securing? Right? And this is a promise that God has given us, right? And it's something that can definitely help us in all the changes that we're going through. And the last point that let's not forget is that God will guide and help us. God will guide and help us. Psalm 32:8 says, I will guide you along the best pathway for your life. I will advise you and watch over you. And Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Lean not on your own understanding. It says here, trust in the Lord with all your heart, right? So here, seek in His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. How amazing, how magnificent, all these life truths and promises that God has given to us. Right? So it's really comforting, that He is constant. Now, whatever would happen tomorrow, in the days to come, be it good or bad, be it a change that's constant or abrupt or slowly happening, that we are not alone, that He's there. So remember these very points, and you can adapt to change effectively. So that is all of it. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you were able to get a thing or two. So I'll call back in Pastora Heidi for any questions if there are any.
Right. That's really good, Fab. Thank you so much. And people are also saying thank you for the slides. It's very helpful. Like Aya said, what she actually did was to screenshot it, and later on she can go back to that. Right. That's really good. So thank you, Fab. We you actually poured out so much even for tonight, and I'm sure no na with the things that you have heard from Fab, it really will help us all. And so when you talked about the change part, Fab, that really makes sense, because yeah, even with face to face, all these things, it's just part actually of this season that we are in. Because guys, if you're gonna recall, remember when all of a sudden, ito walang ka warning pa yon, when we all turned online, right? That was like such a big shock for all of us. I mean, a lot of anxieties and all, because that was so difficult. And wow, we actually went through it for 10 years, 2 years, sorry, 2 years. And we were able to learn. Remember that? And a lot of you, because of that, you're still here, you're doing it. It's nothing na to you. Kayang-kaya nyo na yung mga online engagements, right? So, yeah. And what's wonderful is just like what you mentioned, Fab, that reminder, the truths about the word, the fact that God he is constant. He loves us. He's always there for us. May we never forget that. Okay. Sige, because it's already time, but I want us to answer questions. Kahit siguro isa lang dito sa mga na sending you na question. I'm gonna ask this because it's very much related to the topic. What are the indicators? Somebody asked this. What are the indicators kaya of a child having difficulties in the transition or change? Because syempre, not everyone is expressive, right, Fab? So what kaya would be indicators that parents would watch out for, and what are the things that parents must do before it's too late? Okay. So what do you think, Fab?
Right. Well, the indicators are or some of the red flags in terms of the behavior now that we should watch out for
Yes.
kids. Unang-una, nandyan yung, let's check their, kumbaga, excitement level or their motivation level. No? So if you see that parang they're saying they don't want to go to school, right? It's hard to get them prepared for school, and they're saying they don't want actually to go to school,
Yeah.
right? That's probably an indication that they might be having a hard time
Okay.
adjusting, or maybe there are underlying reasons as
Yeah.
to why they don't want to attend school for that matter. So another red flag that we have to consider is if we see that they have difficulty catching up, no, and
Mhm.
then they find it hard to interact with other kids, right?
Yeah.
So at first, I think in probably 1 to 3 or maybe 1 week, no, some of the kids may probably we could kumbaga see and observe this with some of the kids. But after that 1 week, kasi they get to adjust na. And
Yeah.
so they slowly are warming up and they start to interact with other kids na, and they can catch up and participate in class.
Yes.
But if
Yes.
that stays for a few more weeks and months, right? So that's an indication definitely that baka may adjustment issues
Mm-mm.
ang bata. So they have to check in with their kid as well. And also the teachers also have to be keen on these types of behaviors, if there's meltdowns, tantrums, no, and
Yeah.
separation anxieties as well, and all these things. Yun yung mga kailangan nating i-watch out.
Yon. So always check in with the kids, no, our kids themselves, and because I believe, yeah, I know it's different for each child, but as parents, always remember this, that God has entrusted you with your kid, with your kids, and so even that ability, trust God that it's there as well. The grace is there. So and it's nice. We always say this, just like the spiritual aspect. Fab mentioned there, pray. Oh my goodness, we do not belittle. In fact, we highlight the power of prayers because really a lot gets accomplished in and through prayers. So I think that's a big thing. So yeah, we watch out for those behaviors. We check in with our kids and even with the teachers. So I really believe this is a team thing as well, no? And praying and believing with you parents that this period of adjustment that we are in is just going to be short, yeah, and we will be able to be more free when it comes to releasing our kids and trusting God, because whether that may be online or on-site, face to face or what, that ability to release our kids in the hands of God, believing that God is there. If we are concerned about our children, how much more, always remember this, parents, if for us as earthly dads and moms, we are very much concerned about our kids, that's a good thing, but how much more our heavenly Father. Yeah. All right. So not in fear, but in trust, knowing that God has got their backs and for us as well. Okay. So yeah, it's been a very full session for this evening, Fab. I encourage you guys, you go back to it because it's there after the session. It's just there in FB, it's just there in YouTube. You can just share it. You can rewatch it, and so this is so good. Thank you so much. So again, maraming salamat, Fab. I'll see you again next week. Everybody will have Fab next week again. It's going to be a different topic. And I really appreciate how God is just bringing in gifts. There's so many gifts in the body of Christ, and even in our MHM family, where God can just connect us with people who will be able not to be a blessing to all of us. Do you guys agree? Yeah, right? We're all in agreement to that. So thank you, Miss Fab. Blessings to you and your family. Kian, who is with you there right now, I can hear him. I actually heard him say, Okay, all right. Anyways, all good, all good. This is part of the adjustments also, no, that we are facing, no, all right. But really grateful pa din for you, for the family, and for everybody. Now, I just want to announce this, very special, no, for tomorrow and Saturday, Friday night and Saturday. It's actually Family Summit in New Life, and portion of that, no, on Saturday actually there's gonna be a session, me and Fab, Docs Rana and Majo. So we will see you there if you will be attending. I think the sessions nga lang that we'll be handling will be for the teenagers, for the young people. So yeah, there, that's good. Okay, sige po, and we'll see you on Sunday, of course. Salamat sa lahat ng viewers. I see you, Bianca. Ayan, Teacher Bianca. Lahat ng mga teachers dyan, you are champions. Thank you for your heroes. Salamat sa inyong lahat. And of course, our parents, we can do this. Lolas, nakakatuwa kayo. Alright? Okay, so bye everybody. Thank you for staying with us. Okay, even if you went overtime. Thank you, Fab.
New Life Training Center's Night School is back for school year 2022 to 2023. Ever wondered what the significance is to the verse, "By His stripes you were healed"? All that and more will be taught in Christ the Healer from September 6th to October 4th, all Tuesdays from 7 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. Classes will take place online via Zoom at 800 pesos per person. For more details, please visit nopcglobal.com.
In our family, God is center. Thus, love and care is served every day.
Our family is composed of me and my child. We do not see our home broken because our Heavenly Father completes our home.
In our family, we are filled with so much joy and excitement as every promise of God unfolds before our very eyes.
Next Steps Family Summit. No matter what age or situation your family is in, this gathering is open to all kinds of families. And we mean all. So come and let's bring heaven to our homes. See you on September 2 and 3. Registration is until August 30. Got any questions about this Sunday's message? Send them in so our pastors can help you better understand it on After Sunday Convo. See you online every Monday at 7 p.m. Kingdom Advanced Ministries Healing Room is happening this Tuesday at 7 p.m. We invite you to join us in the main sanctuary as we declare your blood-bought right to healing. Kickstart your day with the Word of God and a hot cup of coffee. Tune in to Morning Devo every Thursday to Saturday at 8 a.m. Your mental health is important to us. Practical, psychological, and biblical guidance are available for free on Mental Health Matters, broadcast live every Thursday at 7 p.m. You can catch all these weekly programs live on newlife.ph on Facebook and New Life Media PH on YouTube. We can't wait to see you in church. Make sure to invite someone to be in the room with us next Sunday. Share our on-site service schedules with your family and friends. If you are joining us online, please note the schedule of our services, which will be broadcast on newlife.ph on Facebook, New Life Media PH on YouTube, and newlifeph.online.church. Together, we go higher as a church. And together, we continue to make Jesus known. See you online or on site this week.